Greetings everyone and welcome back to Joe's Metal Mancave. Today I wanted to talk about a creation of mine that dates back to, I think it's either the winter of 2011 or the winter of 2012. I can't honestly remember, but the reason why I created this, this little thing I'm about to show you was because in the summer of 2011 and 2012, a good friend of mine, we traveled to Helsinki, Finland, and we attended the Tuska festival. And you might wonder to yourself, why would two American guys, travel all the way to Finland for a heavy metal festival? And the reason for that is quite simple, is that at the time, and I guess even still nowadays, there really isn't any big, grand heavy metal festival in the United States. I mean, okay, yeah, I know there's the Maryland Death Fest, but I've always heard that Maryland as a whole is kind of a fucking shithole, and honestly, I didn't really want to travel there, just go to a metal festival. I wanted to sort of turn it into a vacation experience, something different entirely. So somehow, me and this friend of mine, we came up with this idea of traveling to Finland. And at first it seemed fucking crazy, because we were like, okay, we're traveling to a country that they don't speak English, and that was a really concerning factor, but after doing a little research we found out, and actually being there we found out, pretty much everyone in Finland speaks English just fine. So we traveled to Helsinki, Finland in both 2011 and 2012. If I remember correctly, it was the month of June. I don't know really how to explain this, but for me personally, it was just an experience that really awakened something inside of me, something special. I really fell in love with Finland. And I had always, because of Finnish heavy metal, in particular the band Amorphis, who were probably the first Finnish band I got into many, many years ago, I really fell in love with the Finnish land. I loved just, being there, it was really, I don't know, it was just very different from the United States. I love the cleanliness, there's a lot of forests. It seems like people cared a lot more about the land and all that kind of stuff there, and just, people seemed a lot nicer too. I don't know, it's a very interesting experience, and, talking about it from a metal perspective, it was very interesting traveling to a place where, people understood heavy metal, I've gone my whole life sort of always being like an outsider, so to speak, I mean, as I've gotten older, I haven't cared about it as much, but, when I was younger, it was a weird thing for me. I mean, I've always sort of had the social anxiety, the sort of insecurities about myself, but as I've gotten older, like I said, I kind of just don't care anymore. But when I was younger, it was an issue, being different, looking different, thinking different, it's not easy to live your life that way. But it felt like when I went there, that wasn't the case. Like, people understood me, and you could just walk down the street and see people that, had heavy metal clothes on or stuff like that. And it was, I'm sure, yeah, a lot of people were there because of Tuska, but it just seems like, even so, heavy metal bands in Finland reach, the popularity charts in Finland, stuff like that. They get heavy metal there, and that's just, a really, really cool thing to me. One of the years after we returned, I decided to get a tattoo, and the tattoo in question is the Raven from Amorphis' Black Winter Day EP. That's EP, and the Tales from the Thousand Lake album is one of my favorite albums, so it felt right to get that tattoo, and it's a super cool thing. I found a really good artist to do it, and I was super pleased. But then afterwards, I wanted to create something of my own, just to commemorate that visit and experience. So I decided to make something that I could, take with me, a lot of the places, especially in winter. So I ended up creating what I later dubbed the Finnish winter metal patch jacket. So you'll say to yourself, what exactly is the Finnish winter metal patch jacket? Well, basically it was an old leather jacket that I had that I ended up sewing a lot of patches on it, and all the bands on this jacket are all Finnish. So the jacket itself has a bit of history to it, I guess you could say. A good friend of mine, he bought it back in, I think, 1997 or 1998. We were teenagers, we were in high school, and, he wanted a cool jacket to look a little more badass, I guess, so to speak. And back in those days, he had, I think Metallica, Megadeth, and Pantera patches, not sewed on, but ironed on. But as you can kind of see on this side right here, I think that's where he had them. They eventually kind of came off and ruined some of the leather. So that individual, that friend of mine, he ended up selling me the jacket. I guess early 2000s. I remember he sold it to me for like maybe $50 or something like that. And then a few years later, me and that person, we had a big falling out. I don't want to really go into that right now, but we had a big falling out and we weren't friends anymore. And then about 6-7 years later, he passed away from complications related to diabetes. And a part of me, even though I hated him for a long time because of what happened, it always felt kind of wrong that, we never got to make peace and just, whatever. Even if we would have went our separate ways, it would have been nice to make peace. But now I can never do that, so I feel like now with this jacket, I sort of, carry a part of him with me whenever I wear it. But more importantly, the Finnish winter metal patch jacket. Let's check it out. So basically, what this jacket is it's just various patches of Finnish heavy metal bands that, I sewed on here, and this was, as I said, I can't remember if it was the winter of 2011 or 2012, but after doing so, I, of course, posted it on, like, Facebook and all that stuff, and back in those days, I was really into photography, too, so I, went on and took, a series of photos of myself wearing it, and just, yeah. But, I can't remember. I only really wore it for, a year or two, and then it just sort of got stuck in my closet, and it wasn't until this winter that I was like, what the hell, man? What am I doing? I got this awesome jacket here. Why is it stuck in the closet? So I decided to bring it out of retirement, and, and then, of course, once I started wearing it a few times, it was like, okay, I gotta talk about the Finnish winter metal patch jacket. Alright, so the first patch on here is from the Finnish death metal band known as Sota Jurmalla. I got other CDs right here. Yeah, really cool kind of just, I guess sort of technical death metal with entirely lyrics sung entirely in Finnish, which quite honestly is kind of rare for death metal. I mean, pretty much all death metal bands always sing in English, but there has been actually, I think, quite a few Finnish death metal bands that have, sung in Finnish, which is interesting. This patch, as far as I can recall, was gifted to me by a friend of mine who, I think she toured with him, she was the merch girl. I think that's where I got this from, as far as I can remember. But yeah, that ended up being the first patch I put on here. And then, of course, we have Moon Sorrow and Beharit. I mean, man, what can you say about Beharit and Moon Sorrow? I mean, Beharit, of course, is one of the first Finnish black metal bands from Finland, and Moon Sorrow is, at least in my opinion, just one of the most important, just folk, pagan metal bands to come out of Finland, and I mean, man, it's just awesome, epic stuff. I mean, they've made some classic albums over the years, I've seen them live a couple times, always enjoyed it. I'm trying to look for the CD, I got a big pile of stuff here, but I'm really unprepared, so this is the Beharit CD. What's going on? Oh, Jesus. So yeah, I mean, for me personally, Moon Sorrow's best one is Kiven Kataya, which was released back in 2003. I mean, all their albums are really great, but that one's a classic. Of course, Beharit, Drawing Down the Moon, great stuff, man, just awesome, just classic Finnish black metal. Beharit for me is, man, they're one of those bands that just, when I was first getting into black metal, well over 20 years now, when I first heard Beharit, and I heard the Oath of the Black Blood, I was just like, oh, what is this, man? This is so extreme to me. I mean, I was 18 years old at the time, and I part of me was legitimately scared about it, but I was but I loved it, and still to this day, the Oath of the Black Blood and Drawing Down the Moon is just absolutely some of the best Finnish black metal, just really some of the best black metal ever conceived. Alright, then on my left arm we have a patch from a band known as Rotasillu, and then of course we have the Finnish flag there, and I know it would be a bit peculiar for an American guy to have a Finnish patch on his arm, and there's been many times where people have been like, hey dude, are you Finnish? And I always have to be like, no, I just like Finland, and it sort of opens up a real awkward dialogue with people, but whatever. So, Rotasillu, yeah. So, this was basically a one-off project from the guy that does Before the Dawn. In this project, he was just playing bass and doing vocals, and it's basically a melodic death metal band with Finnish lyrics, which, again, I'm not really aware of a whole lot of melodic death metal bands that, sing their native tongue. That particular album is very, very good, and it's an album that I could have very well missed, but the first summer that I was in Finland, I went to a club called, I think it was called Club Dom or something like that, but they were playing there Before the Dawn. These guys were opening then, it was a cover band, then Before the Dawn headlined, and I was absolutely floored by Rota Seated. Like, I didn't even know who I was seeing, but I was like, wow, this is really freaking good, man. And, another thing I should probably mention is that the whole time that I was there, I was drinking a lot. So all the emotions and all that kind of stuff was really heightened because of the alcohol abuse. And believe me, like, it was being abused. I was just basically drunk the whole time. I was waking up drunk and I was drinking more. Sounds weird, but it made the trip all the more just crazy and exciting. Just, oh man, just such good times when I reminisce on all of it, man. Just so cool. Alright, so as you can probably guess, there is lots of patches on the back of this jacket too. And I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but sewing patches on leather is really hard. Like, my fingers were so sore after doing this. And as far as I can remember too, like, I did this all like in a single weekend. Actually, several of these patches were custom made, so like some of them, yeah, I just went on like there was a distro I used to buy stuff for a lot from called Abyss Records. They had a lot of patches, and a lot of the patches that ended up on my Metalvest I got from there, and I think some of the ones that ended up this jacket I got there as well. But I actually had somehow or another come across a patch maker who I think was based out of either Lithuania or Latvia, somewhere around there, and he, I just sent him the designs and he made patches for me, and the Rota Silu one I showed you earlier was one of those custom patches. But yeah, I'm gonna show you the back of the jacket here, and well, yeah, I guess, here, I'll just turn around from now. Yeah, so, I guess I have to take it off to kind of explain everything now, don't I? So, the main one you see in the back here is from Amorphous' Skyforger album, and of course I have the classic Amorphous logo down there as well. Skyforger came on back in 2009, and I've always been a huge Amorphous fan. I love just about everything they released except for that stuff in like the late 90s and the early 2000s, which is pretty... It was okay at the time, but it has not aged well. But Skyforger, it was a really good, just melodic, progressive metal album. I don't know, I can't... Sometimes you just hear albums at the right point in your life, and just it really resonates with you a deep, special way. That's what happened with this album. As I recall, I had been in a bit of a depression for a few months, and then that album came out, and just I don't know, something changed. Like, the album had a real sort of positive and uplifting kind of feel to it, and just really great melodic riffs and solos and stuff. I think other than the early Amorphous stuff, of course, it's by far the best thing they've done in the past 20 years, and it's just become an album that I absolutely adore and still adore to this day. And whenever I get in a deep depression, I always listen to the album. It seemingly always pulls me out of it, which is pretty cool, because it's great when music can do that kind of thing. So so what else we got in here? So on the top we have a patch from a classic Finnish doom metal band known as Unholy, and I got another one of their CDs over here somewhere. I'm well prepared for this. Yeah, man. Unholy, man. This is awesome doom metal. Unholy, by some just random luck, really, I discovered them. Again, this was like 22 years ago. I randomly came across them in a secondhand store, and I was like, what is this? Looks, Unholy. I can't go wrong with a band called Unholy, right? And I absolutely loved it, and I have all their other albums, and I think it's just really great, just awesome, classic, heavy doom death metal, and the band did temporarily reunite about 10 years ago or something like that, but then I don't think they did much other than play a few live shows, and then they went back to being broken up, but yeah, all their stuff from the 90s is super cool, well worth checking out, man. Alright, so then of course over here we have Swallow the Sun and Barren Earth. Yeah, man, Swallow the Sun. Swallow the Sun was a band, and I was really into them back in the day. They're really great, just very melodic, doom metal. melodic death metal to some extent, but yeah, very melodic doom metal. They just it's one of those albums that really resonated me when this one was released, which I think was 2007. Yeah, that album just really hit the spot at the time. You know, I love the melodic parts. It's a really atmospheric album. And then Barren Earth, they're a project that's actually related to or I should say, it's a project that has members from Amorphous, Swallow the Sun, and Moonsorrow. Both the years that I was in Finland, I saw Barren Earth open up at sort of this I guess, Tuska pre-show, and it was awesome. They just killed it. And this album is very, very good. It's very comparable to Amorphous. It's sort of that, melodic, progressive metal kind of stuff that Amorphous has been doing for the past, several years, but not exactly. Maybe there's some kind of more doomier parts to it, but just this first album, Curse of the Red River, really great album, man. If you haven't heard, I highly suggest checking out. So what else we have here? Alright, so, and then at the bottom there we have a Sentence patch, and shit, man, what can you say about Sentence, man? And those first two albums, man, that is classic. The Shadows of the Past, of course, was just, a straightforward death metal. Great stuff, man. And Northrum here is, as far as I'm concerned, that's one of the first melodic death metal albums. That is awesome stuff that, I think in the grand scheme of things, Sentence is kind of underrated in that scene. They only really did that one album in melodic death metal style. But if I'm not mistaken, I think Northrum here came out in, 1993 or something like that, and I could be wrong, but I think that predates actually the release of Dark Tranquility and In Flames and all those bands from Sweden who otherwise get figured in as the godfathers of the melodic death metal scene. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame. There was a period of time too where I liked some of the older Sentence stuff. When they went more goth metal or whatever. But those albums did not stand the test of time, and I sold all of them, I don't know, 5-6 years ago already. So now I just have the first two albums and some of the other stuff that came after that, the one or two albums after that, which is really probably where you got to cut it off, because it just gets really bad after that. Alright, what else do we got here? Alright, so over here we have Thy Serpent right there. Thy Serpent is, in my opinion, another very, very underrated band from Finland. They played a sort of melodic, dark, black metal that's, honestly, to my ears, doesn't exactly sound like anyone else. You can actually hear it in the background, perhaps, in this video this whole time. A really cool band. But unfortunately, they only made 3 albums in the 90s, and they broke up. But later on, the mastermind of the band, he played it when Behar did that reunion album about 10-12 years ago, but he also has a shop in Helsinki known as the Cult Shop, which we visited when we were there, and man, that was just that was a treasure trove of awesomeness, and I would give anything to go back there and see that again. Shop there. There were so many LPs and stuff like that I wanted to buy, but just coming back from Finland, I didn't want to trust trying to get records back home, and I felt so scared I was going to break them. So I didn't buy them. I just bought some CDs when I was there, but man, I'd love to go back and just buy some stuff, and maybe I'd have to ship it back myself or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, Thy Serpent, super cool stuff. And then underneath here we have a band known as Vordhan. I should also mention that these 2 patches are all custom ones too. Vordhan is unbelievably underrated Finnish black metal band. This band, they were sort of a folky, atmospheric, pagan metal band, I guess. I'm going to talk about this band in greater detail down the road, but it's absolutely one of my favorite bands to ever come out of Finland. So it was essential to have a Vordhan patch on this jacket. And then at the bottom there we have Barathrum. Yeah, man, Barathrum, they're one of the true legends of the Finnish black metal scene. One of the originators. They started up way back in 90 or 91. Along with Impel Nazarene, Belial, Beharit. They're one of the originators of the scene, and just Legions of Perkele is just an awesome album, man. Underrated, I think, really. I think all of Barathrum is really underrated, but super cool stuff. So yeah, had to have a Barathrum patch in there. What else we got? All right, so we also have a patch here from a band known as Funerabrae. Funerabrae was a short-lived Finnish death metal band that had an album back in 1991. 1991. It was called Children of the Scorn. This particular album I have here has the album from 91 as well as their demos from 1990 and 89. This is just really good, just hard-hitting Finnish death metal, man. Again, pretty underrated in the grand scheme of things because they only made one album, but definitely worth looking up if you've never heard it. And last but certainly not least, we have a Horna patch over here. And I suppose most people know Horna. I mean, God, man, they have tons of great releases at this point. This is a recent reissue of their first, I think it's their demo called Hidden Torni, which was re-released by Dread Records. So I'm going to talk about this, of course, Horna and some of the other stuff later on, but that's pretty much the Finnish winter metal patch jacket in a nutshell. I should, and I had always intended to get more patches to kind of fill this side up, where the iron-ons had stripped the black off of it, but I just never really got around to it. So I suppose now that I've been wearing it again this winter, and now that I've done this video, I think I pretty much have to get some more patches and finish it up. Maybe put some more on this side too. Yeah, I haven't bought patches for a jacket or a vest in a really long time now, so I don't know what's out there. But yeah, man, that's my little creation back from the winter of 2012, and hope you guys dig it. Well, I just want to say, again, thank you guys so much for checking out this channel. If you've subscribed, thank you so much. If you haven't, please do. I got lots more interesting stuff I think you'll like. And other than that, I'll see you next time on Joe's Metal Mancave vlog.